Good evening and welcome to Gunner Shot. Today we're going to touch upon rare earths. And this war has started, it had to start. Well, this trade war is now taking interesting proportions. You're coming to the actual, oh, hai na, middle overs mein aa rahe hain. Opening batsmen are gone, middle order is in the game. That's the way I look at it. And I asked around, look, anyone interested in talking about rare earths? No one was interested. So I said, fine, I'll do it. I had some idea, so I referred back and refreshed and all that. What we'll do today is, apart from rare earths, we'll also touch upon, various events which have happened in the past 24 hours since we spoke. What's US done? What's this rare earth business which has started? And certain retaliatory actions by China. I'm keeping track of all this only for the simple reason so that you get clarity of what's happening. And I might not be able to get someone who will, keep pace with me. So maybe I'll have to do a lot of solos. So you'll have to put up with me, but I'll try and be concise to the point. Okay. So that you don't get bored of me. Now, this picture which you see is a mine of an actual mine of a rare earth system in China. The picture was beautiful. I picked it up. But look at the thing. Of course, this is true for any mine system anywhere in the world. You have to go deep into the earth. But this is huge. And we'll come to it. What are the issues? All that a little later on this topic. Okay. Now, let's first start with the US moves. What has US done in the past, say, 24 hours, 36 hours, which we have spoken of? The first thing is, we came to know yesterday that there were some exemptions on electronics. But today they've clarified it's not so. It's only exemption. The tariffs have taken from the reciprocal tariff part to something else. Right? So what has exactly happened? Listen to the US people.
Joined now by Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick. Secretary Lutnick, thank you for being with us this morning. I really appreciate your time. So let's start with that news.
It's my pleasure.
Let's start with that news late Friday, that this exemption on electronics, smartphones, laptop computers, and the like. What's the thinking? Why the exemption?
Well, if you remember, over the past couple of months, President Trump has called out pharmaceuticals and semiconductors and autos. He called them sector tariffs, and those are not available for negotiation. They are just going to be part of making sure we reshore the core national security items that need to be made in this country. We need to make medicine in this country. We learned it during COVID. We need to make it in this country. We need to make semiconductors, because if we don't own semiconductors here, remember, virtually all semiconductors are made now in Taiwan and they're finished in China. It's important that we reshore them. And so the president is going to come out with his policies on semiconductors and pharmaceuticals. They're going to be outside the reciprocal tariffs. And he was just making sure everyone understood that all of these products are outside the reciprocal tariffs, and they are going to have their own separate way of being considered.
But wait a minute. I'm asking you about the exemption, not about, the notice that went out Friday night saying that electronics, a wide range of electronics, including smartphones, including components used to make microchips, that these are now exempt from the reciprocal tariffs. Why that move?
Well, remember, those products are going to be part of the semiconductor sectoral tariffs, which are coming. So you're going to see this week, there'll be a register in the Federal Registry. There'll be a notice put out. That is different types of work. So we're going to do that. We did that in autos. The president's going to do it for pharmaceuticals, and he is going to do it for semiconductors. So all those products are going to come under semiconductors, and they're going to have a special focused type of tariff to make sure that those products get reshored. We need to have semiconductors, we need to have chips, and we need to have flat panels. We need that.
So what he says is that electronics and all have been taken out of the reciprocal tariff business, because I suppose they expect that the reciprocal tariffs will be, mm, negotiated, and they're taken it into sectoral tariffs. So all these are in sectoral tariffs along with medicines. So that's coming. That's part of the deal ahead. So that's the thing. So there's not really no shift in tariffs. And in fact, if you see, China has hardened its stance. That will come to a little later. Okay. Right. Well, no, this one. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Now the next issue. We've finished a thing. Now we're going to talk of certain tailor-made deals. What are these? Let's see this.
I mean, do you have to sit down individually with each of the 75 countries? Is that how it's going to work?
Absolutely right. We have to sit down with each one. And when I leave here, I'm going right to another trade meeting. They're back.
I mean, do you have to sit down individually with each of the 75 countries? Is that how it's going to work?
Absolutely right. We have to sit down.
So what he's saying in this is he's going to sit down with 75 countries and work. These countries, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, Bangladesh, Taiwan, Switzerland, India, South Korea, Japan, European Union, Israel, and United Kingdom. These countries, Mr. Trump is going to sit and personally talk about it. So they're going at it quite methodically. I mean, you might think it is as it is, but he's going very methodically. Okay, let's see what else he says in this.
With each one, and when I leave here, I'm going right to another trade meeting. They're back to back to back to back to back, and that's how it's going to go. But President Trump said he's going to participate in the top 10 or 15 countries, and he's going to make the deals because he can understand their economies the best, and he can, sort of really tailor make that rule so that we get the best. It's a great deal for America, but also.
So Trump is going to sit with the top 10, 15 countries and make one-to-one deals. Okay. And like I said, pretty clear about it. Now, this is something, an extension of that, but very interesting. Have a look.
The way that I would think about it is that in the previous administration, you can sort of say, if you're thinking about it in the football analogy, is that they were running out the clock. And that what's going on now in the Trump administration is across a wide array of policy areas. We're in a 2-minute offense. And the 2-minute offense is pushing, as you've seen, the reconciliation bill through so that we get tax relief for American people, deregulation, and of course, trade policy. Now, in the trade policy, the whole point of the trade policy is to address the national emergency that we're too dependent on foreign products in the U.S., especially if we were at a time of conflict. And we're doing something about that. And the reciprocal act was basically, guys, if you come to the table and negotiate with us and treat us the same way we treat you, then we'll get your rate really low. And so right now, 130 countries have responded, and we're negotiating with them, and they've got their rate down to 10%. And so really, it's kind of almost a two-world system. There's a process about China, and that's very, very nascent, if at all. And then the process for everybody else. So the process for everybody else is orderly. It's clear. People are coming to town with great offers. We've got Japan, Korea, India. I was just talking to the foreign minister of India, and everything is moving forward very quickly. And so I guess the bottom line is that the small business owner has experienced over the last few weeks the start of a process that's settling down really quite quickly. Again, 130 countries are at 10% now.
So 130 countries at 10%. He's already said so. And now they must be dealing with those 10, 15 countries which I showed earlier. So actually, you see those 10, 15 countries, if you take out of 130, 115 countries. 115 countries, 10% tariff is accepted. In which case, these 10 countries will pay 10% tariff. That's exactly, that's income to US. Whether you like it or not, 10% is 10%. So whatever export you do to USA, these 120 countries have quietly taken those 10% tariff. I said, thank you. So his economy is getting buffeted. With these 10, 15 countries which are important to him and which have an equation with China, he's going to negotiate. He'll negotiate because he knows you can't get away from China also. It's not as if he's not going to say, then he'll say, okay, now I'll talk to China. And now, as people start aligning more, things will change. Okay. So that's what I just thought I'll put across to you. And another issue.
So
Okay. The third issue, I'll talk a little later. That's more interesting. Now let's talk of the rare earths. Okay. See, this we all know that Trump was after rare earths. Rare earths was something which Americans very clearly knew what the whole deal was about rare earths. It was never out of their head. After all, Russia-Ukraine war, everything was all about rare earths. The deal, he says, I want rare earths, I want critical minerals. So, and he was, this cartoon is very nice. He is making both Russia and Ukraine dig for rare earths. Only thing is, Ukraine is digging its own grave. That's a different story. Okay. But it's happening. That's the important point. Okay. Now let's look at what's happened here. China has halted critical exports, right? On of that critical exports means rare earths. Okay, it's easy to say rare earths. What are rare earths? What the hell are these? Do we understand them? I mean, do you have an idea as to what these are? I mean, I at least so right. Should we look intelligent when the rare earths are spoken of? So what I did was I just put across. Sorry, I just put across or put together a few issues about rare earths, basics, and I'll explain to you. Okay, when you look at the periodic table, this is the periodic table. I'm now going back to chemistry class. Many of you have asked, sir, why do you keep the periodic table behind as your backdrop? And that's when I go, to Bangalore. I have that as my backdrop. Well, I like science, I like technology, so I use them as wherever it is. That's how it is. Oh, you keep looking at the periodic table, you don't forget your basics. So I'm very conversant with this table. Now, if you look here, this 3 and these 14, these are, basically group 6 lanthanides of the periodic table. And these are the rare earth elements which we are talking of. Okay. Now you will say, why rare earths? The importance of rare earths is they have high density, high melting point, high conductivity, and high thermal conductance. Heat. Okay. Why do you need it? I mean, why do you need it? Wherever you want a miniature item to function, like in an iPhone or in a GPS, okay, or in a gyro. Gyro is GPS only, okay, and things like that. You need all these, and you need it. The density is high, so your throughput is much higher. I mean, it's like this. I have a pen. This pen has a hole in it. Okay. Now, if this hole is there, right, like in any other metal, it's exaggerated. If I put heat through it, the heat won't go through the air. This is not a high dense material. Conductivity will be poor. But if I have a very high dense material, conductivity will be better, which means I can miniaturize it. That is why you need these. I mean, mota, I'm giving it to you, this thing, I'm not going into thing. So high density, high melting point, so you can put it in applications where the heat is more. And you need more conductivity. Like in a semiconductor and all, you need a lot of conductivity. And these are wafer thin applications. That's the wafer. You're talking of 1 micron, 2 micron types here. Okay. Now, those are, if you look at it, let me make it bigger so that you can see. Yeah. Now, there are 2 types of rare earth elements. One are called the light REEs or light rare earth materials, and there are heavy rare earth elements. I'll explain both of them to you peacefully. Right. Now, there's certain things which we need to know to understand this whole business where it is going. That's why I'm going to skim the surface, not going into too much detail, but I'll give you the fundamentals. Rare earths are not exactly rare. Okay, they are rarely used. That's why it is called rare earth, probably. The thing with rare earths is they are dispersed. Okay, they are dispersed in earth. They are there. They are there in abundance, but they are in such small concentration that you can't pick them up. You can't extract. You can't put them in concentrated form and make it economically viable. That's the thing. There's this thing called cerium, which is the most abundant material. Okay, cerium. Sorry, cerium. This is the most abundant material. And incidentally, cerium is more. In quantity, it occurs more than copper or lead. Copper or lead you can mine, but you can't mine cerium because it's spread over a large area. Most REEs are more abundant than gold or silver. ABA. This is funny. We think they are not very distinct, but it's there. It might be in your very compound, yeah. But only thing is it's so less that you can't take it. And concentrated and economically mineable deposits of REEs are unusual. That's why where you can mine them, there are very few places on earth where you can mine. Incidentally, let me give you, before you say India has rare earths. It's not as if India doesn't have rare earths. A complete monocyte is rare earth. The day you start leaching for thorium, you'll start getting rare earths automatically. I mean, that has to be a, what shall I say, parallel process. So we'll wait. We have untapped lot of untapped minerals. I'll come to it a little later. Okay, what are light REEs? So I have listed out. These are the ones which are. I mean, I've said lanthanum, neodymium, all these. Cerium, all that. These are more abundant, and they are used in consumer electronics, energy applications. Your batteries are full of EVs, light REEs, LREEs. Where are they used? They use for magnets, which are put in electronic vehicles, motors, wind turbines, hard disk drives, right? Then they use for catalysis, the catalysts, right? In catalytic converters, okay? And where do you use catalytic converters? You use for petroleum refining, okay? Then glass and polishing. Okay. Basically, not normal glass and polishing, UV filters, batteries, right? And lighting, LEDs. So you need LREs here. Then you need HREs or heavy rare earth materials or rare earth elements. These are terbium, yttrium, erbium, yeah, all that. I mean, all that. These are not so easily available. Okay. But they are very critical for high-tech stuff and defense purposes. Magnets, lighting and displays, LEDs, LCDs and all, lasers, okay, optical instruments, you need this, and defense and nuclear and medical. So I've given out, it's used in night vision equipment and cancer treatment and whole lot of things. So HREs are required of these. You need both. Okay. Now, if I go into a bit of a history, the first lot who had mined rare earth materials and used them were Americans way back in the 50s. There's a place called Mountain Pass in California. There they were mining. At that time, with the technology they had, it was only USA which used these basically for their space programs and to develop computers and all for that, right, at that time. And then what happened was They found that there are other places where you can get these rare earths as usage went up. Then the Americans did two things. They said, look, we'll keep our rare earths. We don't know how much is available where you can pick up. So we'll close our uh, stocks where we are going to mine Mountain Pass. They just closed it. Second, the the pollution and contamination due to environmentally it's not good due to this rare earth mining was too high. They said, why should California suffer pollution? We'll move out. Okay. So in the process, in the past few years, they have conserved their rare earth, whatever is there with them, and they've exported pollution. To the extent, rare earth ore is taken from California and sent to to China for refining. Okay. By 1993, they did this transfer. You had 38% in China, 33% in USA, 12% in Australia, and 5% each in Malaysia and India. So India has always had rare earths. They're going back to 93. Other countries include who all? Brazil, Canada, South Africa, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. बाकी जितना भी है उसमें. By 2008, 90% mining was only in China. By 2011, this had become 97%. And 1990 onwards, the Chinese got a think, look, let's control it, and they started controlling the rare earth materials and saying how much should be produced. And then they started limiting their own companies how much they can extract and how many joint ventures can be allowed to extract. It is not as if it's a free for all, but though there's a black market in this, we'll come to that. Okay, China है सब कुछ black में मिलेगा. Okay, so this is where it is. Okay, where are the major mineral deposits? This is the estimated major mineral deposits all over the world. It's there all over. They're not. The Amazon basin is supposed to have a hell of a lot. No one has gone there and seen them, or rather, no one has gone and done an exploration. It's only now people have started looking at alternatives, with China talking about it the way it is. And it is not as if people didn't know that one day China will stop producing rare earths. I wouldn't say stop producing rare earths. They'll use weaponized rare earths. Everyone knew it, that China will do it one day, and which they've done now. Okay, so what they're going to do, they're going to keep it off. I mean, we'll come to that. What do I foresee? We'll come to that. This is the mining production. Naturally, if you see in this, China is maximum, followed by Australia, then USA, and interestingly, Myanmar. Myanmar. Why do you think China is so interested in Myanmar? This. And why do you think Myanmar government will never go? Why do you think that junta will never go? They control this rare earths. पैसा बनता है उनको उससे. And most of this Myanmar, that's also, it's though China is in it for rare earths, USA also has a hand there. And of course, Baki, you see Russia, India, Madagascar, and others are there. And this is of 2019, nothing has changed in this. In terms of mineral production, control is different. Okay. But incidentally, the rare earth market overall is just 5 to 7 billion per year. That's it. This is something, it's rare, it's difficult to make, all that. The cost is only this much. I mean, what is 5 to 7 billion for the whole world? So my guess is already people have enough stockpiles. That's why they're not bothered. I'm very sure of this. I'm very confident because there's almost no reaction from USA. Elon Musk was tasked, so what if we'll handle it? And I also feel that people have started looking at alternatives. But you need 10 to 15 kg of rare earths for per electric vehicle. And if you see the whole cycle, then you realize that your EVs are not as, what shall I say, clean energy as you think. Because the EV might not be polluting the thing because it's running on, uh, electricity. But the very fact that it has batteries which are processed from rare earth materials make it a pollutant already. It's already a polluted thing. And then what do you do when that whole thing goes off? What do you do with that battery? That's even worse. So the notion that this EVs are the thing of the future sooner or later will change. And this is something very important. Okay, sorry. This is something very important which we have to understand. And this is where China might not have a strong hand. What did Trump say on his inauguration? He said to hell with all this dig baby dig oil, energy through oil. He wants to go to Mars. These are very significant steps, policy things which he has said. First, he is going to maximize fossil fuel production. As a result of which, the cost will go down. And he will not allow electric vehicles to get in. If now rare earths are, China closes it, you will see soon. That's my guess. USA will start a campaign to say, forget about electric vehicles. Let's get on to IC engines. He'll flood the thing with fuel, and see, rare earths are not so rare, right? So you'll find suddenly the value of rare earths will go down. That's what my estimate is in the next 5 years. It's not going to be immediate. 5 years, 6 years. And then if they go to Mars and get back helium and deuterium and tritium, which I've always been talking about, then you're looking at a different category of energy. And China also knows it. They're also running after fusion. They keep coming up with things that we've done fusion without doing it. That's a different story. Okay. So there is something which is, we have to understand this game. I'm putting it the way I have understood it, because it's just not EVs, it's just not rare earths, it's a whole lot of things. Now China has played this card. It's played. So let's see what happens. Okay. Now the interesting part is that China has carried out a study. This is which I spoke of last week somewhere in one of my updates. China has said by 2040, its dominance of rare earths will go down. And this is their own China Academy of Sciences study. And they say, look, people will get their alternate paths of making things. They'll open up new mines. They'll go up with better technology, everything. Today, there's no doubt China is dominant. I'll come to that also. I've already told you how much they make, right? And we'll come to that a little later. See, this is where rare earth minerals are produced in China. These are heavily contaminating and polluting. Right? These green ones are where LRE is, light rare earth elements are there, and here it is heavy. Even there, they don't mine it directly, they mine it a lot indirectly because they're mining others. It's only in southern China that the deposits are more, and in Mongolia. They have, but they are mining a huge area, huge mines, thousands of hectares to get what they are getting. To that extent, China is paying a price, contamination. Now, let's go talk of refining. Today, it's not a matter of ores. Like I said, US mountain pass ores go to China. That's what I've written also in this. Today, China controls 85 to 90% of rare earth refining. Okay, that is turning rare ore into usable material. USA and Australia and Canada are scaling up. They have, between the three of them, they have the capability, they'll scale up. Oh, there are challenges in this. What are the challenges? The costs are high. Environmental regulations are strict. And there are technological know-how gaps, which today China has mastered. Okay, there's no doubt about it. But the thing is this, the Western countries will struggle due to environmental issues. Will they get environmental clearances to do what they want to do? It's only China. So China has taken on environmental pollution in a big way, contamination and all that. And then you need natural resources for refining. What do you need? Water. So the requirement of water will go up. And that is why China becomes water deficient. That is why that fellow wants water from Brahmaputra Dam. Please understand all this nonsense. We're all connected one to the other. Industrial water utilization of China is very high. And because of the contamination, because of it, it is not only rare earths, he does all kinds of mining without regulations. So the groundwater contamination in China is very high. Because the groundwater contamination in China is very high, they're struggling. They've got a lot of problems. I've not spoken of it, but I think China is one of the most contaminated countries on earth. This is the price which the Chinese communists have paid for their progress. And this is the price which India is not prepared to pay. And at this point itself, let me tell you, it's not as if we don't have. Yesterday also we mentioned when General Rajiv Narayan and I were speaking about rare earths and things like that. Okay. We have Kerala beaches are full of monazite. The Deccan Plateau is full of titanium. If you mine these and Orissa, and we have not touched the lithium deposit which is there in Kashmir. We have not gone for ores in the Thar desert. I'm sure they are. Because the environmental cost for this is very high. You need water and you need a whole lot of area. China has taken the trouble of doing it because they're probably doing it in Mongolia. It doesn't matter to them. So what if Mongols die? They have no concerns for them. Their problem now is in South China. They're having major problems already. It doesn't come out communist country yet. Okay. So there are issues. They don't. That is why when they have droughts, everything goes tough. So they have major issues. Okay. Now this is the. Sorry. Let me put it on. Yeah. This is the map which is published by South China Morning Post. 2040. And 15 years hence, right, you will see that China is producing only about 20 odd percent or 23% as it's given here. The rest is going to get dissipated. So over as time goes, you will see that China's dominance in rare earths will reduce. And again, I keep telling everyone, this is not my story. This is the Chinese story. This is part of the China. This is a Chinese report. If you see here, these are all in Chinese. I don't even know what's written here. Okay. So it's their report and they're worried about it. But at this point of time, they have the danda, they're using it. As simple as that. What are the environmental impacts? We have to understand that. There's land and ecosystem disruption. Open pit mines, which I showed in the first thing, that's open pit mine. It destroys habitat, topsoil, everything. Water contamination. They use chemicals like hydrochloric acid. Okay, ammonium sulfate. These are huge contaminants. They contaminate groundwater. So your groundwater is done and dusted. In fact, one of the problems which is there is in Mongolia, when the Yellow River breaks its boundaries and all that, that groundwater seepage, everything comes back downstream, and they're having problems. So if you read China, what they've done is absolutely idiotic. You might say that their GDP is high, they're everywhere and all that. They're paying a price. This is the price which the communists have agreed to pay for whatever reason. Okay. Then there are radioactive byproducts, thorium and uranium. And these are not something, again, these thorium and uranium is something you can't mine. It's there in the ground. It becomes that goes into, part of contamination and things like that. Then China has unregulated mines. And these unregulated mines, there's a lot of number two thing happening. Whatever China exports, that much you can say another, whatever China exports over the horizon or over the table, that much is exported under the table. Because that's the way CCP people own the stuff. Because what goes over is through banks, repayment, AO, all that. But what goes under goes into the coffers of the CCP. And it makes all these princelings and all rich. That's the China model. Okay. Then, of course, high energy and carbon footprint. What is the amount of resources you're putting into this to get things out? And toxic waste. Okay. Just look at the last one. He says for every ton of RE extracted, up to 2,000 tons of toxic sludge can be produced. Where will you keep it? How will you dispose it? It has to be disposed by Mother Earth or it has to be dried out. And then what will happen to all this recycling? People say recycle karo. But that recycle is a process for which is contaminative and pollutive. So it's not so simple. Okay. But at this point of time, again I repeat, China has the upper hand. Right. Now, before I get into the retaliation, like I said earlier, it's not as if China will close its thing and tomorrow everything will be hunky-dory. No. It is only one part of the story, one link of this whole chain, which is closed. Invariably, many of these semiconductors, they go into US, what shall I say, rare earth materials in raw form go to the US, get converted into semiconductors and get back to US, China or to TSMC, and then go into China for finishing. It's not a single country process, it's a chain. So if China insists too much on this, they might be losing the whole story. Now, another thing, China has stopped export to whom? They have stopped export to USA. They have not stopped export to South Korea. They have not stopped export to Taiwan, from where USA gets semiconductors. So it's a danda, but how? And USA, Canada, and Australia already have, though these people control 97% of the market. They got latent capability and thing. They're doing their own methodology. And from what I heard, their methodologies are more technologically efficient and better. So they might be better off. Okay. Right. Now, besides this, China has carried out a certain amount of retaliation. Besides the rare earths. I mean, anyone wants to ask question about rare earths, I'll take it on. So rare earth card has been played. Let's see what effect it has. Okay. Personally, I feel there will be some effect, there's no doubt. But has it that much? We don't know. We don't know how much USA has stockpiled. Okay. And none of these big guys, they're not fools to hold themselves at ransom from China. And the thing is, if USA starts, let's ramp up this because they have the capacity to ramp up. They have the minds, they have the technology. If they ramp up within the next 2 years and they have with some difficulty, then China is left on the limb, out of the equation. Will China like to do that? China will always like to keep a spanner in the works. So there are issues. So let us see how it goes. Okay. But at this point of time, advantage China. Then what else is China retaliated on? Oh, sorry. China's, this is not the thing. China has put out a unreliable entity list. Okay. Where US drone manufacturers, defense related firms, they can't do investment and trade in China. So FDI into these from these firms can't get into China. Then export controls, what can go out of China, that's also being controlled. Critical materials, rare earth minerals, all these have been controlled. That's the one which they've said. And any other high tech materials like tungsten, molybdenum, right, which China is making. China controls a lot of the mineral industry. It's just not rare earth. They control almost these, things like here, what I've said, tungsten, molybdenum, titanium, major metal industries they control. Again, the control is because people have allowed them to control. It's not as if they assumed control. They allowed them to control. Agar wo contamination, if he's prepared to take it on, and the pollution, he's prepared to take it on, all the best to him. We can't afford it. India definitely can't afford it. Okay. And then China itself is carrying out anti-dumping investigations against USA in certain equipment, medical equipment and all that. So these are the things which China has already started doing. And then China has put retaliatory restrictions on agriculture. Okay. Soya beans, meat, grains can't come from USA. But that is killing yourselves because China has no alternative for these. And wherever China will go to get alternate sources, USA will block them. Who are they? South Americans. Basically, South America, Brazil, Argentina. If USA tells Argentina, they'll not give. But in any case, China cannot do away with the soybeans. Why do they need soybeans? They need soybeans to feed pigs and pork and make pork. That's the reason. They don't have chara for pork and they want pork. So that is how it becomes food insecure. Meat and all that. Coal goes from USA. LNG, US. Now we should be very clear, China is energy deficient. How long it can stave off, we don't know. Right now it must be depending on Russia. What if tomorrow USA and Russia make a deal? China is on a limb. But these things, like agriculture and all, when you put a retaliation, there's a lot of pressure on Trump's domestic base. People, democracy. So China is playing democracy. It's exploiting democracy. Okay. It's also some imports like sorghum and poultry also have been stopped. So it's basically agro and industry. Those imports have been stopped into China. But China needs them. Where will it go? That's the point which will have to come out. Look, if it's for 10, 15 days, 1 month, it doesn't matter. All these things, both the countries will take it on. I think if it lasts, and the portents are that this is going to last. That's the way I look at it. Now, China has gone on a heavy info war. You see Twitter, you see TikTok videos and this and that. I don't see Facebook. I'm sure on Facebook also they're flooding it. Because their own info system is secure. You can't put your stuff there, but they can use yours. There are huge memes of Trump. There are all, mocking videos of US efforts to restore the factories, there's a huge political message going from China that China never wages a war. It's false. They've done it with us. They've done it in South China Sea. No, no, we don't covet anyone unless we are provoked. We will not retaliate, kind of a thing. That's going on. Xi Jinping himself has come in and given a speech about it. They are using Mao. If we are attacked, we'll fight back. Never will we give up and all that. So they have gone back to Mao because they don't have anyone else who can enthuse the people. And this is both external and internal. And then there's a huge media blitz the past 48 hours. You come buy directly from us and everything is cheap. Don't buy branded items. Branded item, if a branded item is 30,000, you can buy it from us at $2,000. And those $2,000 will give you directly, even if you have to pay tariff on it, it doesn't matter. They started this. The point is who will buy. That's the point. I will not buy. Who will buy all those items? Right? That's the issue. Then, of course, there is anti-Trump info war going on. Anti-tariff amplification is going on. Then, of course, like I said, Mao's videos. Then there are a whole lot of Chinese analysts who are going on international channels and speaking. And they're using CNN and things like that. They're exploiting in big time. And there are enough leftists within America who are amplifying Chinese, info war. And there are a lot of videos are coming. China has infrastructure, this, that. What do you have? That kind. And they're getting Americans to talk of their woes and, amplifying it. There's a huge info campaign on. I mean, this is what I brought out so far. I'm sure if you have a look in Twitter and you look X, that is X, TikTok, for those of you who can see TikTok and all, you'll see for yourself where it is going. Okay. With all this, China realizes that it is on a weak footing as far as consumption is concerned. Okay. Unless consumption goes up, what will it do with its markets? See this video, you'll get an idea.
The US-China trade war has kicked off. Just look at these containers piling up on the docks. These are all waiting to be exported. This footage was taken on April 11th by a Douyin user in Zhejiang at a local port. It's not just Zhejiang. In recent days, major export hubs along China's coast, including Guangdong, Shanghai, and even Hong Kong, have seen freight operations come to a near standstill. Ports in these areas are now filled with containers waiting to be shipped. The 145% tariff imposed by the United States on Chinese goods has officially taken effect, triggering severe disruption across China's export supply chain. According to Chinese financial outlet Caixin, at Shanghai's Yangshan and Waigaoqiao ports, many shipments bound for the US were rushed onto vessels in a race to depart before the tariffs were enforced. But after the US announced a 125% tariff, Shanghai's once busy export activity came to a sudden stop within days. By April 10th, almost no cargo ships bound for the US could be seen. Reports say many cargo ships and freight flights between China and the US have been canceled. Containers that missed the shipping deadline are now stuck at dockside.
Right. So cargo shipping has been hit. Air cargo has been hit. All this goes against China. Their shipping, after all, they control a lot of shipping and they control a lot of containers. So it's just not those items which have not gone, even the other shipping they get already it's taken a hit. They know it. And that is why they've gone heavily on the internet to sell their items directly. Right? Okay. Now, what they've come out with is that these are the things. Just all 48 hours. They want to pivot to the home market. Okay. So they are using their e-tailers, online shopping portals to sell within. Okay. But there's a problem there. There's a huge problem in this whole story. Now, as per this thing, Hainan is holding a major consumption expo. But who's going to come? They don't know. They're very this thing. Now, local authorities are launching additional measures to encourage domestic consumers to open their wallets. During this, I saw today, just about half an hour back. The local government is telling everyone, please buy. I don't know how they're going to strengthen people's confidence and willingness to spend. Just look at it. You've seen that those containers are piled up. If those containers are piled up, those factories will not function. If the factory doesn't function, I'll not have money. If I don't have money, I'm a factory worker. Why am I going to spend? And how will I spend? So they are already in that catch-22 situation. And here the government comes and says go. And they're giving subsidized interest rates. Okay? And subsidized interest rates on loans. It's not free money. There's no stimulus. Yesterday also I said China is not giving stimulus. China is giving loans to people. So a chap who doesn't have money, they're saying you take more money and you buy fridge and all that. And they're not only that, each chap, each resident in a province can take 2 loans for 2 items. So in a household of say 4, father, mother, and there's whichever way, 3 or 4, or I will say 3, right? 3. So they are pushing 6 items per household. That's the logic. Okay, and they have also launched a special campaign to export premium products abroad, and even to Chinese consumers. Now, who will buy a premium product there? There are Chinese who will buy, but I'm talking about the Aam Janta. No way. Okay. Now, this latest plan, which they have said, if you see, is not so latest. That's also a couple of months old, a month old maybe. They came out with a 30-point plan to boost consumption. I did a program on that. Well, let my 30-point toolkit lift consumption in China. So what I'm going to do is have a look at it tomorrow, all of you. I'll, with this consumption bit, I'll put it in that and you can see it through. In that, I've explained with Mr. Sri Iyer what are the problems for China and in this toolkit. Because fundamentally, this toolkit has nothing. It offers nothing to the Chinese chap to tell him to consume. So that's the story of consumption. Have a look at it and take a call for yourself, and we get back tomorrow, we can discuss it. Okay. I've done for the day. I'll take on questions one by one and we'll see where it goes. Right. Why isn't Indian private entities going hard after rare earth mines overseas? India should buy into US idea of rare earth independence and work. Karthik, I've told you, you don't need to go out. You have enough rare earths here. The process of the environmental issues are the issue here. I've shown you to increase rare earths from 1 to 2% or 3% is not a big deal for us. 1. Number 2, do you need rare earths? The next question is, do you need rare earths? When you're not making semiconductors, you're not making many things. You don't have the technology. So why do you need it? And just watch the play go. And if you have to mine rare earths, you need to have the better technology so that there's no contamination for you. So those of you who think, no, we should go into rare earths without, due thinking, no. You will have massive deforestation. I did this study Why I'm confident is I did the study. I asked these very questions to people. Why are we not making use of our own, tungsten and titanium and all these deposits? Then the answer is you have to do massive deforestation in the Deccan and then the Eastern Ghats. It's environmentally not sustainable. That's not progress. We need to have some method of making it do good technology. And to that extent, we don't have the technology, partner with someone who has the technology and develop new technologies. Okay, the second part is yes, we need to, as a government, we have to encourage our private people to go to Africa. Africa has lot. Even the Chinese have gone to Africa. Chinese also realize that what they have is not enough. You want robots, this, that. It's nice to see a robot, a dog going like this and wagging its tail. Okay, one of those robot dogs, no? But it needs same rare earths. Where will it get it? There's a limit to how much you can make those robots without rare earths. So China is going to Africa itself. So there is a case that what you're saying is we could go there and do things, but you know how things are in India. Why did the Sterlite? I keep going back to that thing. Why did that Sterlite plant close in Thoothukudi or Tuticorin? Contamination. Okay, there are issues. Sir, China cross-border payment system has reached 1.2 trillion dollars approx. Is it a threat to the US? No, no, it's not. There is a limit to which only those people who accept yuan as a currency are going in for it. Otherwise, no. See, 1.2 trillion dollars is no great shakes. It's a total volume of that. Okay. Yeah. No other country, big country, accepts yuan trade. And no one will agree with whatever system China now makes. At least in India, we will not accept it. These, you must understand that there are a lot of propaganda which is coming out of China. You please don't fall for it. The same kind of propaganda they gave out that they will, screw us in Eastern Ladakh and all that. What happened? Nothing happened. Similarly, this very important point, sir. Thank you for saying this. Fertile soil is most valuable resource. Rare earth mining and mining generally destroys food security. I completely agree with you. These are extractive materials. Let me give you equivalent. What's happening in Balochistan? That materials are being taken away by the Pakistan army. People are rotting. People want independence. And Pakistan is on the verge of breaking up. Tomorrow, if something like that happens here, what happens? We have good tribal cover. I mean, people living in forests. Even for increasing our agricultural output, we are very hesitant to hereafter deforest. If immediately after this I run a video on environment, pollution, and all that, you guys yourself will say we shouldn't deforest. Please understand. We should never be idiotic enough to say we will go and cut off our forests and all that. Sorry, I'm not of that kind. That's why I say progress is commensurate with people's happiness. GDP is a number. If my man, on the weakest man, has 2 square meals to eat, decent medical, decent water to drink, I'm more than happy, and a shelter, food, clothing, and shelter. Yeah. Yeah, what makes country like China have greater resources and rare earth? Well, look, it's there. They are prepared to exploit it. It is not that they have more; they're prepared to exploit it. That's all. Don't they have a lot of thorium too? They don't. Sorry, I have done this. I have done this thing earlier also. Okay. is there any way to make sure our own left stops being compromised? Too much CPI gets money from. Yeah, I think we have to work out something. Uh, a government has to work out. Otherwise, these chaps will, take us back. I'm with you. What are the opportunities for the Indian private sector in rare earth space? Well, the opportunities are full. How can we take them? Is these chaps have to go and invest. It's investment heavy. Okay. Or the private sector is not prepared to leave India. We are more prepared to give services. Chinese have yuan for international currency and renminbi for within borders. Capital injection in local economy boosts local consumption for captive consumers. That's their key to solving tariffs. Yeah, they can, but unfortunately, if you do all that, you're eating yourself without getting anything. At some point, you'll start collapsing. It's a mural in copper, maybe 10 feet by 6. I couldn't get what it is. Okay, we'll come to that. It's a guess only, but I think India has a lot of things inside the ground. We don't know it because we aren't searching for it. Yeah, we have a lot. Not oil. Oil we don't have. We have a lot of these minerals which we are consciously not taking out. Apparently, China is asking Pakistan to create an industry about dirt expert document replace. I have put it out. I know I put it out as a tweet today. Have a look at it. The only thing which Pakistan is exporting to China is donkeys. So CPEC is at last successful. At least it's making donkeys. Solo show is better. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. And yeah, China is not getting the message. Trump wants to talk, so US should be given. They'll come around. Both of them will come around. But my guess, at the end of the day, one thing which is not going to change is the fact that global reliance on China is going to reduce. It's going to be forced to reduce. If that doesn't happen, USA will be at a loss. And if you've seen how the way things are happening, you'll see a change happening. Nobody talks about how Japanese semiconductor company keeps delivering testing facility. They're interconnected at this point of time. That's about all. IC engines are as efficient as they get, which is around 23%. The problem is when you drive a car, the car weighs. Yeah, that's the thing. Do you know about white hydrogen, underground deposits of hydrogen which occur naturally? So thousands of years of clean energy. It's not going to happen so easily. That's why those Chinese are digging deep pits to uncover hydrogen. They're not getting it. And that is the reason why we have to go to Mars. It's only in Mars you'll get it. Okay. Tritium. You'll get helium in Moon and tritium in Mars. Any further Chinese retaliation towards the USA, in particular in the world in general, would be in the gray zone. This is the Chinese raising it completely. We'll see things happening. Okay, let me talk of gray zone. Today I saw something on the social media to say China will, Mr. Modi has allowed Chinese imports into India, all that. So I went into the location from where it has come. It is Pakistan. So already that story has started. Yeah, the production of electric power itself is contaminative. Yeah. See, anything you burn, even hydrogen, whatever you do, is contaminative. There's no clean energy ever. Energy, when you transform it from one form to another, okay, there's contamination, whether you like it or not. It's a matter of which is more contaminative or less. There are studies which say that EVs are not more as contaminative as fossil fuels. So after this, that might now come to the fore, and it will play into politically what Trump is saying, and they'll say to hell with it, yeah, with what uh, you know rare earths we have, we'll go ahead with what we need for phones and high-end defense industry and all that. We'll forget about EVs. Fossil fuels will come back. So these things will happen. It's not as if there are escape routes out of this. Yeah, US has a lot of e-waste, and that's where the American reserves of previously processed rare earths are buried in plain sight in landfills. There's a problem. Unless they get a good process, the reprocessing technology, it's a thing. Yeah, to an extent, you're right. It's lying there. They can extract it. How to extract it is the issue. So, what is the status of our thorium reactor program? Haven't heard anything about it for a long time after the fast breeder reactor inauguration by this. See, Matt, this is a three-stage program. What was inaugurated was operationalization of the second stage with the thorium blanket on top. Okay. Now that thorium has to get impregnated quite a bit, and then you have to put it into the third stage. At that time itself, I said from the second stage to the third stage, it will take us 3 to 4 years. Our fundamental problem is for all these, the three-stage thorium process which we have got into, uh, we need uranium. The amount of uranium which we today have or we get is a split between using it for nuclear energy, which we are opening more. People talk of small nuclear reactors, all that. So you need uranium for that. Then you need uranium for this three-stage process to start. If you start, you'll get enough uranium out of it. You'll get plutonium, enough plutonium out of it. Okay. And the third is you need uranium or plutonium, one of the two. I mean, it's the same fissile material for your warheads. So these three requirements are there, and the amount you have is only that much. So it's going to take time. There's no point in saying, sir, what? I mean, your question is genuine, but it's not as if that you'll get it day after tomorrow. It will take time. The date of Mighty Ambition Project VSLI Tech Hub and Future of Electronic Employment, is it to be worried? I don't think so. I think a lot of things will change uh, in the foreseeable future. We are on the cusp of a change. Uh, my worry, I'll be very honest, my worry is our government shouldn't become like the Chinese government and press hard on industrialization to our detriment. See, the Americans and the Westerners, they'll push us to it. Industrialize, we'll give you market, all that. Without looking at the environmental issues and the fallout on our people. One of the problems China is facing is health. They don't have good health. Their health services are bad. Why they are bad is the amount of people who have become sick are gone up, and plus aging. Uh, Today you are okay with health services or health pharma, and when I say health services, the government health services in terms of preventive health and curative health, hospitals and all that. We shouldn't get into a thing where this balance is broken, and then the cost to pay will be very high. Unfortunately, in this, the people who will pay for it are the people. You and I will pay for it. Today, there's not much industrialization. We are healthy. If there's too much industrialization, we'll start getting respiratory diseases. So you have to go to doctors. Doctor, that cycle will start. Helium-3 is abundant on moon. No need to go to Mars. Yeah, I agree with you, Neil. I told you, no. Helium-3 is moon. It is tritium which you have to go to Mars. Yeah, you're talking 200 kg per FM. Must be. Yeah. How long can it take our deep sea research to materialize into mineral self dependence? At least for that'll take a year. I don't expect it to happen in the next decade. Let's be very clear. We don't have that. We are not that advanced in technology. Yeah, requested Manmohan Singh to make facilities for refining. At what cost? Again, I come back to that same thing, Neil. What cost? Indian rare earth are limited in Kerala and Gopal. Yeah, they're there. There are a lot of it. There's a hell of a lot. But the cost we have to pay to get that rare earth out is not good enough. I mean, it's not worth it. That's my view. People will have a different thing. Mm, yeah, Sridhar, Namaskaram. Uh, yeah, I've answered most questions from at least one question from other. I'll not take your comment on Bangladesh and all because it's not my cup of tea. I don't want to discuss that. Yeah, Night Fury, how are you? And Jeet, how are you? How's South Africa? Okay, now let's go to the last lot of questions. How to scale up technology? You need to have a technology mission, different missions for various technologies to scale up. And that's what I've been telling the government also. Okay. Uh, and one of the reasons why, someone asked me yesterday, why did you take that tank thing out? I took it out because I want to put something together and then I'll talk about it later. I'll talk of it. Happy Putandu, General Saab. Thanks a lot, but Putandu is and Vishu is in Kerala, and Putandu is here in Tamil Nadu. Is basically a Tamilian thing, New Year, Tamil New Year. Uh, Strictly speaking, though I greet everyone, I'm not a Tamilian. So I am basically from Andhra, so I go by Sankrant, Telugu New Year. But that's okay. Could you elaborate more on India's thorium program because REs can mine simultaneously? Jeet, you go to Ganashot. Twice I've done on thorium, complete thorium program in detail. Okay, have a look, Jeet, at that. Go through it. If you want, I'll again do that program, or I'll again release that program. I'll just release that program. Okay, you just let me know, and I'll do it tomorrow. That program is ready. I don't have to do anything. Nothing much has happened after that. Nothing. This thing. I'll just release it, or maybe I will. India's internal threat is an internal issue. Yes, I agree with you. Rare earth is concentrated in beach. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, that's the thing. You can't, or mangroves and all will be just taken off. Not worth it. You'll have erosion. Are we working on building dams near China border in Arunachal Pradesh? Because we haven't heard any news yet for dam building in. Let me explain to you. I think we are very clear that we have to build a dam which will mirror the Brahmaputra Dam on the Great Bend, Medoc Dam. We have not made a plan for it. We will make a plan. It's not going to come in a hurry, and we need to think of it. There are certain technical challenges in that area. It's not simple. And then Medoc Dam is also the first brick has not been laid. It is just not even the allocation has not been made. So far, they've taken a decision that they'll make it. How they're going to make it and all, it's not clear. So it's going to take time. There's no hurry for both. Myanmar rebels are using Bangladesh to push hard drugs, and some of the money goes to Maoists and Marxists. I agree with you completely. Sir, TikTok is filled with Chinese people advertising to buy cheap from their factories for dirt cheap prices. I agree. That's what I said. There's a huge marketing going on. Okay, how are they benefiting? I'll explain that. There's a lot of logic in what they're doing. Okay. Now, why has this started? Why has this started? Because you have to understand why this has started. Till recently, these small items up to $800 were exempt from uh, tariff. Okay, in the de minimis. So what happened? You ordered something which is less than $800. That came through to you. I'm talking of the US guy. It came to them through the US postal service. Like it these days, India Post is also giving you this Amazon service. You know, so it used to come through that. That has stopped. That's being tariffed. Now, what these chaps are selling on thing is they you come and order directly with us. This is the I saw today one where it says, okay, for $10 you can pick up any shoe you want, or $20 you can pick up any shoe you want. Otherwise, it's $160 or $150. So what is he saying? You want a blue shoe? Take it for $20. I'll ship it from there. Direct to you. You pay your tariff. वो जितना भी है 150%. 150% on a $20 shoe is how much? 15%, 15 rupees or whatever. $30. 30 plus 20 is 150 or $50. Still, it's cheaper than buying for $100 in a shop, no, in America. That's the trick they're doing. How many Americans will fall for it? I don't know. But that doesn't solve the problem. If you see some of those videos, they show you huge stocks behind. They're saddled. And at this kind of a time, it's a matter of time, something will come out and US chaps will say, sorry, we'll not accept it. So if it becomes a win-win situation, who loses? Chinese will lose, ultimately. Because the volumes won't be much. Right. So, okay. When it comes to transfer of technology initiatives, can we really expect a foreign partner to share, which is both the know-how and the know of why something like a jet engine? Not fully. Not fully. Let's be very clear. They'll never give you 100%. They might go up to 80%. The balance 20%, you have to figure it out. That's what the Chinese have done. The day you do that, you'll be the next China. Yeah, thorium was very interesting. Just let me know if you want me to put that video out. Just answer now itself, and I'll sit on it. I'll extract it. I'll have to download it and reload it, and it'll be up tomorrow morning 7 o'clock. I'll put it out. But give me a thing. Without industrial capacity, then how can we compete on technology, especially for defense? We always need to import technology because we haven't developed enough yeah, that's part of the problem we have. We have to go up the technology chain on our own. Unless we don't make our own technology. See, what do I say? I keep telling everyone. Technology which you make is the cheapest. The technology which you buy is the costliest. Okay. Are there ways to make your own technology? There are ways. There are plenty of ways. Should we do them? I think we should. Why are we not doing them? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Is it the government? Is it DRDO? Is it our CISR? Is it our private industry? Is it our academic institutions? I really don't have an answer. But what I know is if you dare, you'll win. And I'm winning. Can I get a complete tech revolution in India? I can't. Can I make small models by which people can replicate to get technology? I can. And I'm doing that. And I'm doing that with full pride. Am I going slow in what I'm doing? I am going slow. I'm going slow because I'm not getting enough funding. But that's okay. It's a matter of time. I'll make the breakthrough, then people will come. Okay, tomorrow I'll rerun that thing. Interesting India China dynamic, the past few days. China has urged India to unite against US tariff abuse. India China have agreed to resume patrolling LAC. Chinese ki gardan khatre mein. Yeah, we are on a strong position. See, ultimately, we will have to be in our own strong with what we have. That's good enough. You don't need to be like America or China. I've been to US. I've not been to China. I've been to Europe. I've been to Russia. I've been to Middle East. I've been to Singapore and all these places. I didn't find them very great. To be honest, I feel very happy when I'm back in India. Okay, and that's it for the evening. Long chat. So by tomorrow, you'll have two videos up. One on thorium, and the other is on the toolkit of consumption, with this chap will succeed or not. Yeah. Okay. Let me ask last question. Just curious if US is going to go against China and eventually force a battle-like situation. Taiwan and India are the most likely. So do you think we ought to be friendlier with China? No, we don't have to be. It's detrimental to us. But it will not come to that. Don't worry, because I don't think China has got the capability to attack India anymore. That's gone. Is Starlink dangerous for India? Security wise, there is some risk, there's no doubt. But more importantly, if Starlink comes, it will kill our own ability to put up our own networks, especially when you have the technologies. A lot of technologies you have. The only thing which you don't have is enough satellites up in the air. If you leave Starlink for public utility and develop your own defense networks and strategic networks through ISRO, then I'm okay. Okay, fine. I think I've done a lot of questions answered. I hope I'm okay. Tomorrow I'm going to do something interesting. I'm going to do something interesting about Balochistan. Join in. Though this will be the flavor, something happens, we'll pick up the slack day after tomorrow. Because I've got some interesting footage about Balochistan which I want to share with you. And you'll then get an idea as to what's happening in Pakistan. See, one of the things we have to constantly, you will see that these days I'm concentrating more on Pakistan, that is Balochistan, because that's the criticality, Bangladesh and China. हमारे लिए तो यही है ना, बाकी इंडियन ओशन वगैरह कहीं नहीं जाएंगे नहीं. Once in a while, like Iran, something happens, Israel, whatever happens, let it happen. Ukraine, it doesn't matter what happens to there. We'll talk of it. But this is what I want to handle. Okay, let's this thing. So tomorrow evening, Balochistan. Thank you. And can you focus on deep state? I'll talk of it. There's nothing very great left. Okay. Thanks a lot. Good evening and Jai Hind to all of you.